it's like you have literally one life, not knowing if you're going to get another one as a human or if you're going to get another one as a crocodile. Hopefully, we don't want to see you as that, but it's like you might as well do things that are as a good human being so that when you do leave, you've made the mark you've wanted to in the right way.
What's up, you beautiful beasts? I'm Katie, and I'm on a mission to help people become their favorite versions of themselves and build whole human health by healing their relationship with food and movement, healing their relationship with their body, and most importantly, healing their relationship with themselves. And we are doing that without obsessing over a number on a scale. I've had the honor of talking with all kinds of incredible humans who have lived through all kinds of experiences because that's part of being a human. Life is messy, painful, beautiful, complicated, and transformative, and sometimes all at once. I wholeheartedly believe that every time someone shares their story, somebody listening will take something from it. Maybe they'll feel seen, maybe they'll feel inspired, maybe they'll learn something that shifts the way they see themselves, their life, their health, or what healing can look like. This podcast tells the stories of humans healing, growing, rebuilding self-trust, and unveiling their beautiful beast. Keep listening. This is the Unveiling the Beast podcast. Well, welcome to the Unveiling the Beast podcast. Can you tell me and the listeners a little bit about who you are and why you think you are who you are?
So, I guess I'm I'm a person who likes to inspire others with a message that they probably didn't see coming, but somewhere down the line, after lamenting on it for like a few days, they sort of get the message of what I was trying to tell them. Like it hit hard later, and
Mm.
my journey has been sort of like um, living in chaos, but going through accidents. Now, it's a metaphor, not like literal accidents. I've not gotten into like those accidents, but
Right.
accidents in the sense that I thought I was going one way, and somewhere or the other, I landed somewhere else. And I know that's like very like cliche. Everyone says that, but it, I didn't like, I'm someone who had like no clue of what I wanted to do in life. And I got that clarity like when I was like 22 and a half. Like that's when I started getting it. But that
Mm-hmm.
whole time I had people like guiding me on where I wanted to go and I had no clue what I wanted to do. So to like go back to the question, you know how when there's like a, so suppose you're driving and there's a school bus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the school bus stops, and as a human instinct, you also stop, right? No one
Right.
really knows why the bus stopped, but you stopped because the bus stopped. So the only reason the bus stopped was because he saw a pair of turtles walking by. That is literally my journey of just walking in like weird places and just like showing up.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that be in high school and undergrad, the thing like I was like, like SOLs, like biology, like stand like in schools you take these standard of learnings like end of year
Oh,
exam.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like I'm like really bad at like, bio that I failed that end of year exam like every time, but the passing score is a 400. I got a 399 every time, and I only passed it before I graduated. So it's like a lot of things click to me late, but when they click, they somehow when you see other stuffs in life, it just adds on to it. So like I guess to go in for a full circle, I'm like a turtle trying to figure out how to be like himself.
Mm,
hmm So
yeah.
like somewhere or the other, wherever I step, if there's some place that just doesn't do well, somehow or the other, not because I'm taking the whole credit, but somehow or the other, when I leave that place starts to improve. I don't know
Mhm.
why. But when I'm in that place, it doesn't improve. So,
Got it.
so it's like I've seen these shifts, not saying that I'm the one who's taking credit, but like that's with anything, whether that be when I went to undergrad in VCU, no one really took it that seriously when I was graduating. Then it started doing some extra research when I graduated. And the moment I went to do grad school, apparently just so happened that our school blew up because of some student project just went viral. And it was like these shifts and transitions that I've seen. I sometimes feel like I wish I was in that spot, but at the same time, I'm kind of like maybe I'm not ready for that shot yet because
Right.
to get to a certain level, you preparation's always important. So like the experiences, the meditations, everything that I do, it feels like it's all preparing me for something which I don't know. And
Mm.
I'm always late on stuff. So like if people are trying to mingle and try to find their like partner or something, I I've still not gone that route. I'm always like late on that aspect, not because I don't choose to do that. It's just I tend to find like what's the reason I'm supposed like what's like the actual like truth behind it. I don't want to be doing something if it's going to like um if I'm not able to handle it or manage it or find a way to like figure out how to make it for the best of the both of us.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, that
so
makes sense.
that I don't know if that answered your question, but
No, it does. The overall theme that I'm hearing is you plant seeds wherever you go. And
Mhm. Yeah,
when you leave, they're watered and then they start growing, even if you never see it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that turtle example that I used that because that happened to me, because I was in high school and there was some STEM academy and everything, and I'd applied and I didn't get on the list, and
Hmm.
before my mom was dropping me, the bus stopped, our car stopped, and there was a like a line of turtles just walking by, and my mom had heard somewhere that if there's turtles that walk by, that means something's good's going to happen. You don't know when, but it just so happened that I got into a different program, which was biotech, which I was. That's a difference. That class is what helped me pass that SOL actually, and I that was the first class that I actually got like an A in that class, and I got like a few awards in there. But I was kind of shocked of the fact that I thought I'd know bio, but the moment they put tech on it, it showed a different lens. So
Mm. So, with all of that, do you feel like you're still in this, I'll call it a life adventure? Um, I mean, yeah, I guess we're all in our own life adventure, but like, do you feel like now you're bringing people along with you, or are you still figuring things out on your own?
am I still bringing people with me, or am I still wait? If am I
Yeah,
still?
so do you feel like you're planting the seeds and then maybe like people are now following in your footsteps, or are you still trying to figure out your place
Oh,
in this life adventure of yours?
uh, hmm. No, I don't think people have started following me. I'm still planting seeds and trying to f figure out what doors I'm supposed to go through.
Hmm.
Um, but if you had to ask if there was like a phase where I felt like people were being looked at me as like some sort of inspiration during some years, there, yeah, there was. a certain year, well, like a year and a half, where I don't know, things just switched for some reason. Um, where it felt like you know how when people say that when you're around someone, the vibe is different,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
so I, I don't know what changed during, during that year and a half. It just like I saw things that I didn't think I had the potential of. Um, like the first. I mean, as a kid, you don't even know what seeds you're planting. I was planting seeds when I was in high school,
Right.
but that those first 22 years, like you know how there's some things like people, circumstances, situations, things that you just can't explain. They just like happen, right? It just, you just don't know why, but it just happens to be so. That's what a lot of like, it felt like I had, I had like a heavy bag of karma debts I had to pay off. And when 2023 started, um, thing it was wobbly in the beginning, but then things I had sort of dreamed about, I had envisioned about, part of it was started like showing up, like just the simple workouts or things that I felt like I wanted to do something that was going to help inspire others to the work that I wanted to do. And, like getting into and that also, that school that blew up, which I was in, that was anyways like a very prestigious school. Like this already had, like they've been a big part of like the ad agency world and everything. And
Hmm.
my shots of getting in were slim. I had zero portfolio and things like those where you just like got in and these crazy trips helping in my younger brother's science fair where they accepted his poster where I've never even touched Illustrator. Like just random stuff just started like clicking. People started, whenever I was in conversations, they were curious to hear my thought process. And like at the end of the year, there was this side hustle group we were in when I started the first semester. And it was like we picked a topic to help create storytelling through audio for people who can't see. So we created a demo of that, and thing is when you expect like we want the result to be good and everything, the product usually ends up becoming crap. But if you if you're just working on it and you don't really care what's going to like come out of it, and that
Hmm.
also the whole team, then now whether that comes out good or not, you never you never set the intention of it doing well. You just wanted to like get it over with. But when we
Right.
presented, the professor thought that it's going to be something mild, but it turned out to be something much greater. And so everyone else in the room was kind of like shocked that like these people can actually do something. These four. So that switched a lot of gears in my head that like I never seen that side of the world, right? When you're the seeds you had planted somewhere or the other have started like materializing. So you start to think that, oh, that my time has actually started to now show people the path. And then after that, when the next one came, there were two projects. One was which was based on the topic of Spotify, where we had to create a feature that would help engage more users, and one was to help a non-profit, uh, no, but like in a school that helps provide education for the ones who can't afford it. So those were two different projects, and in all of these, I was like an experienced designer, like mobile UI UX designer, and even in those two, no, we didn't expect anything out of those. We did the video, we did the shooting, and when it came to the same thing, the same sort of response came where they're like, you guys took like a huge risk. And that also, we had like 4 weeks to do these stuff. So all these like nuances that just started like clicking, like when you go to a chiropractor, like all the bones start opening up. It just, and then even that summer, helping out like a healthcare small business somewhere, creating memories with a certain cousin of mine who had come from Dubai. And it just like, it didn't feel like I was doing anything wrong. That's like,
Mm, yeah.
but then that was for a short while. Then things shifted on its own whirlwind. Then it went back to where people saw me in the opposite view. I got stuck with interesting people who didn't understand concepts, just wrong groups. And the same school who was impressed by what I had to have was trying to find a way to kick me out that during the last semester. So like um so yeah, last year really showed me a kick.
Mm. I love the conversation of doing the thing to do the thing rather than for the outcome, because I think a lot of us just focus way too hard on this being the outcome. Like, for example, I'm in the health industry, and
Uh,
so many people are just focused on the number on the scale, right? But they're not seeing how much better they're sleeping. They're not seeing
yeah,
how much better their mental health is. They're not seeing how much stronger they are. So
yeah,
even if the scale doesn't budge because like maybe their goal is losing weight, some people's goal is gaining weight. If the scale doesn't budge, they're losing in their head, even though all these other things
are
are going
happening.
on, right? So I love that you bring that up where you're just doing the thing to do the thing with no expectations at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's funny you mentioned that. When I saw the groups I worked with no expectation, and then I
Mm-hmm.
saw the other side of folks who were working like getting the pen down, trying to make sure the group was perfect. So how you said it, right? Because they were trying so hard that the feedback came out in greater outcomes. And then
Mm-hmm.
it's just like push and pull where it's like sometimes you just have to like let it go. It's even the same with like when someone like when someone like dies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we get it, you have feelings, emotions attached to that person. Of course but after one point, if you don't move on, it becomes harder for you to sustain. And the same thing is with a project, the same thing is with a relationship, the same thing is with like your family members or something. And I've thankfully I saw this like I saw these things in school the hard way, whereas because I remember one so there was a seventh grade English teacher. My English wasn't so great at that time. And I was really it took a lot out of me to figure out what's happening in the story, especially in a book like Hunger Games.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me that sometimes if you just let the book talk to you, it can do much more wonders than you trying to force the book to tell you what it is. So what that did was it made reading more easier in the fact than just trying to memorize each and every single word like people do
Mm-hmm.
and show like, okay, it's not about cramming it. It's about understanding it so that later when you read a different book, the memory stays. And that thing did stay because when I was in that good phase of things materializing, There was a book I read called it was called The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I don't know, have you read it? Or,
Mm-mm. No.
so it's a book about um a female character who she's working at this audio store and everything, and she feels like everyone else is doing great things and I'm stuck in this small house doing whatever XYZ and I'm not able to show up to the places that I want to. And she said, had I taken swimming seriously, I would have been a professional swimmer. Had I done this seriously, I would have been this. So she goes to this library, and this librarian, because it's fiction, right? She takes her into this world where she is becoming all these things she had asked for, a professional swimmer, a a a popular rock star that earned number one album, whatever. All these roles that she had asked for to have her live it, and at the end of it, she's like, "Wait, so like." She then that thing hits that. Did you really want this? That you're asking for. You asked it, and when she would switch, she was like, no one really cares, right? You become
Yeah.
that. Great. They only there for your music. They only there for your craft. They don't care about like who you are. That's the same thing we see in athletes and everything. And at the end of the whole thing, when her whole system goes haywire, like the library goes haywire because she's not able to figure out what life she wants. But the last life she was in, where she had a daughter and like a simple husband and everything, she's like, when that thing snapped, she's like, why did you take me out of that? She said, well, you were supposed to go through all the characters. So then she's trying to find a way to like get this whole thing worked out. And I think at the end, she meets the librarian who becomes really older because she's gone down time. And she plays a
Mm.
simple game of chess, learning that sometimes it's better to just live the life you have because if you end up asking for something you didn't, you might just end up destroying yourself. So like that was I mean, there was a different message in there, but that's what I took out of it. And it's kind of like you see everyone who aspires to be the next Justin Bieber or someone who aspires to be the next Michael Phelps and everything without knowing um the guts and sacrifice it takes to be like that. Like it's not a um I don't know how to explain that. It doesn't
Not an easy road.
it's not an easy road. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like for someone to get to that level of craft, they've had to live many lifetimes as a struggling musicianist, a struggling swimmer to get this life, and that this was their purpose.
Hmm.
So, and I mean, I'm not saying that no one else, that you can't change your destiny. I mean, it's possible, but you have to be willing to um commit to that.
Yeah.
So, and the
I
only
think,
reason sorry, not to interrupt, but the only
no,
reason
go ahead.
these concepts are clear to me is because I missed an important thing that I forgot to mention. So, so when I was in high school, I used to do a lot of weightlifting, and I did this program called it was like a certain meditation where it's like a certain kriya, where it was a community called Art of Living, and that was refining me, like the dirt inside of me. Like
Hmm.
when I mean dirt of the sense is like we get so many things put into ourselves and sometimes we lose our own who we are. And that was refining like um how I spoke, how I did everything. And I mean, I left weightlifting after in before I started undergrad, but I kept going and I couldn't like it was still working, but that same effect didn't happen. But what I
Hmm.
noticed was when the pandemic started happening, so there is this in like Hinduism, there are these two big stories that people believe in. One is called Ramayana and one is called Mahabharata. Both of them are happening in two different eras, two different wars. One is two families versing each other against what's between like righteousness and unrighteousness, and the other one is someone kidnapped the prince's wife, and he's going this long path to go get them with the help of monkeys.
Hmm.
So to sum it up, I was hearing all these through these Zooms because of the pandemic. And when this 2023 started, I went on this like sort of spiritual path, like sort of conscious path. And I didn't know that a simple like mantra with like Sanskrit words in it could change your entire life. Like
Mm.
some of these mantras have certain things that they do to refine you. And when I went on that path, it sort of um, it grew me to a level that I didn't think uh, I would ever get to. Let's put it like that. And both because when you grow spiritually, you easily grow materially, like in just how you think, how you perform on your work. Um, and then I got introduced to these other ones and everything, and now I'm stuck and lost. That's it. I went down a way deep rabbit hole in terms of transformation and whatnot. But yeah, we're working on that as well. But
Mm.
yeah, that's what that was the one thing that really shifted. And there's this one book called the Bhagavad Gita, and they have these like lessons where they talk about, you know, how you should be doing your work. How does this whole karma thing work? Like it gives you like a different, and the thing is, it's funny because it's written in Sanskrit, but every person who reads it interprets it completely differently. Like it's like if you could read it and write your own interpretation, I could read it and I could write my own interpretation, and we would have two different ways of looking at it. And that's with like everyone. And I also noticed that all these different languages we have, like English, French, Spanish, this, that, all the roots to it come to this Sanskrit one, not in the sense that it's like the foundation or anything, but in that Sanskrit language, you can reverse words and it still means the same thing. But if you
Mm.
reverse a word, like a reverse the context in like an English sentence, like if you say, I bat forfeited, that doesn't really make sense, right? But if you say it in that way, it still makes the same sense. So, um, yeah. So that wherever you want to put that context, there you go. So,
That's cool though, because, well, I like what you were saying with the dirt. Um, and it's funny because I was gonna say something like that before you, because I talk about the layers and unveiling the layers and, the Unveiling the Beast podcast. The beast is your true authentic self,
yeah,
and the veils are the dirt. Like it's all the stuff that's been thrown on us. And I think so often we're trying to become this other person rather than to unbecome what's been put on us and go back to ourselves. And so, one thing that stood out with you was the authenticity conversation, because I'm all about, you know, be yourself. Like, and if you don't know who you are, figure it out, because it's so much better to succeed as yourself
yeah,
than succeed as someone else, because then you're not really succeeding. Does that make sense?
yeah. You're living
Yeah.
the character of someone else. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's um, yeah, that's it's like saying you were supposed to play the role of Christian Bale and Dark Knight, and you decided to play Joker.
Hmm.
That's that's
Yeah.
not fun. And you see people do that um every day. They just
Yeah.
find enjoyable. Well, you're making me go on a route of stories. The so they were so last year when I was I think so in December my grandfather passed away somewhere on like December last like middle December. So like he had started his own business, did a lot of stuff when he was in India. Yeah, when he would yeah. And what was fun, how you just said, right? Like it's more better to be yourself. So you know how when someone dies, that whole property game starts to play in, where like who gets what?
Yeah.
So my dad is my dad's son, and they also had a daughter, which is my dad's sister.
Hmm.
Everyone else was just looking out for themselves. No one really like, okay, he came from US, yeah, I get it's not that big of a deal, but like there's something when there's a price to it that people's blinkers just like go on or something, and it's like they go from being so nice to like uh powerful or something like that, like wanting more of it. And
Hmm.
I mean, I learned a lot of lessons on those trips, that's for sure, but this was one of them which really clicked on me because I just saw everything happen, and it was like it just my parents have this sort of philosophy where they're like, you know, if no one wants to share the barter, if no one wants to equally share what needs to be equally shared, then you might as well just let them have it. Like it's because otherwise fighting for it isn't going to do as much good because you're in their house now. Like it's not like
Yeah.
even though it's his house, but now the cards have flipped, right? It's the same thing with like government. It's all power play. Like have you read the book Animal Farm? No.
Ooh, a long time ago.
It's kind it's kind it's kind of like that. Like I mean, I'm not I so I watched the animated film that Seth Rogen had put out, and I read. Well, no, I'm not. I didn't read the book. I got the summary on Claude, but it was like I'm not really able to explain it, but it's sort of like you don't want to be like the pig. Let's put it like that. Out of all the animals, you want to be like the horse.
Hmm.
So yeah. Sometimes people find the character of the pig more lavish because they have everything.
Yeah.
So,
This conversation of stuff. It hits me lately because we just totally downsized and got rid of like 95% of our stuff. It's a very long story. If you're listening, it's episode 183. I fill everybody in. I took a 4 month break and all this stuff, but
oh, okay.
it was very when things happen in your life that are that need your attention more than your stuff, the stuff doesn't matter anymore. You know what I mean? And so, like you're saying, everybody was looking out for themselves and what they get, but
Right.
what really matters? Was it the stuff?
No, it wasn't the stuff.
Yeah.
It was more the connection. It was the
Yeah.
connection that mattered
Hmm.
than the stuff. Because the stuff is just something you buy and it's just like a good. Like there's no like feeling to it more than
Right.
anything.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, what do you feel like the next few years are going to look like for everyone?
Mm, so I feel like based on what I'm seeing, this whole like 2020 to 2029 decade feels
Hmm.
like there's a lot of there's a lot of transformation and change that's happening. Like we're putting like government on the side, like that's a different story. Just in just in like people's way of thinking, how they approach stuff, even like a lot of the material that's coming out. There's a lot of darkness in a lot of even like in Indian films or even Hollywood films, like
Hmm.
a lot of people are loving horror film these days, like Sinners or One Battle After Another. Like if you look at the same demographic from 2010 to 19, rom-coms worked better. Now it feels like people have like this urge to know like truth or like trying to have um things be used in the right way. And
Hmm.
it's like even in articles and with this whole AI thing, it's like they're trying to find ways to keep the whole human thing more authentic. So like one like, and I feel like when the next decade comes, there's gonna be a lot of deep thinkers. There's gonna be a lot of females in executive positions. Not for the fact that I'm saying I hate on males or anything, but like it's just that
Right.
females have struggled to get to those positions because of male egos. And I feel like that's like twisting. And maybe it's twisted in a few companies because there are a few female CEOs that are in place right now. But there's just a lot of transformation I'm seeing in people, like especially like last year. It felt like a lot of people that I'd heard from, like a lot of people were either dying. A lot of people had really hard times of just trying to understand their craft, but whatever anyone had to learn, that growth they're seeing now. Like in Terra, if I were to pull a card, right? There's a card called the Hermit. I'm a beginner tarot. I just started learning this. I don't know the best explanation, but the hermit is sort of like you're going, if you look at the graphical representation, it's sort of like you're going on this path, like very lonely, and you're trying to figure out where is it that I'm not able to find the solution to these problems. But this year is more of like growth. So that growth, that healing, those intentions that you were trying to set, a lot of people have either started seeing it happen or about to see it happen coming to them whenever the time is right. Um, so yeah, and yeah, I don't know. There's a few companies like even like Elon who I feel like that guy looks a little suspicious to me. Like he has like a few projects that he feels like he's doing that is gonna help a lot of females like brain wise, neuro wise, and yeah, there's going to be a lot of war. There's going to be a lot of wars for sure.
Mm.
That is something that I can already see happening. Like I don't know, um, because of many reasons we all know. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, like even like I'm not like promoting India or anything in that way, but like there's a lot of corruption that happens over there. And I know that at one point there was content being advertised as if that's what the real world is, when that's not how it is. And lately, ever since this new decade has started, there have been a few films that have actually showed the truth of what has actually happened. Like there was a place in India called Kashmir where people said, "Oh, nothing happened over there," when there was a film that came out that showed that these terrorists came and took the places of people who lived there for centuries or decades or few years just so they could have the land for themselves. Then, like how any girl who comes to Kerala, they automatically become a target for a certain ethnicity for people to just like rape and whatnot. And that film also came out. Then there was like a film about recently, a two-part film where it was like, so there's this big war between India and Pakistan, and
Hmm.
basically every time they attack, it's like we're sort of helpless because we don't know how to attack back. That was the scenario then. And they planned this whole operation in which they exposed all the parts in which they got cut down on some major enemies that had been threatening them. And they showed that whole film and the whole facts of it. And that really was like a shocker that how this thing got planned out. But on the flip side, what happens in India is that when you show those types of truths, the people working on that could get put into a different side of the industry because the
Mm.
people who are operating in that industry, like there's some people who want things to be shown in a certain way. Like people in India still have these like, like puppets. They want people to be puppets.
Yeah.
And because in the 90s there was this big mafia dude called Dawood Ibrahim. That's how you say it. But he had this whole control over like Mumbai and like the entertainment industry, the businesses, where if you didn't pay his profit, they would shoot you. It was
Mm.
like, if so, I'm trying to see where did I give this context for what reason? I guess I gave this context for the fact that these next few years, there's a lot of growth and transformation you're going to be seeing in folks because when next decade starts, there's going to be a lot more deeper thinking that's associated. And I can already see it happening. A lot of people, like a lot of the characters that people are playing, whether it's a double role or simple role, there's like layers to get to that level. Like if you like to get into that character's performance or to get into that type of work, that is not surface level work. And with AI can't do deep stuff like as of now.
No, agreed.
So yeah,
Well, I have one more question for you. And I ask everyone at the end of every episode, and that is if the entire world stopped what they were doing and looked at you and said, please give me some advice, what would you say?
learn to stop running and learn to sit and just watch and like not speak because like how they say that a picture says 1,000 words, but even in the same context of your life, silence can give you 1,000 insights. So with now then you can apply it to that loving yourself, being more like yourself than others, all those things apply, but it's like you have literally one life, not knowing if you're going to get another one as a human or if you're going to get another one as a crocodile. Hopefully, we don't want to see you as that, but it's like you might as well do things that are as a good human being so that when you do leave, you've made the mark you wanted to in the right way. You don't like, you wouldn't want to go and be like, man, had I said sorry to that kid, he would have been somewhere else. Like, the regret, like, you're gonna have regrets, but like, you don't want to have things that you're still pondering on for like days and ages. So I think that would be my advice. That's like, let let the silence um, speak to you and learn to value patience.
Boom. Beautiful beasts. Himanish Goel signing off. Until next time.